Hello, welcome to the 1878 FM podcast. It's a beautiful time to record podcasts like this. We've had a lot of hard times recording this podcast. This is not one of them. It's a foursome. We are delighted, Dave and Sam are both here as well. Sam was chomping at the bit at 5 o'clock on Saturday to record this podcast, but we were busy. Sam, come on, take it away, because I feel like you just look at the smile. Just look at his face.
Honestly, I've had hardly any sleep since probably Wednesday, because obviously Wednesday was really good with the equaliser. The late equaliser, the performance, the scenes, the limbs. And then you fast forward to Saturday, and I'm not hoping for anything, really, because I'm just happy that we've got to where we've got to. And I'm thinking a draw would be incredible. A defeat, if we play well, because the injuries we've got, the squad is stretched to its limit. But Everton are back. That's what I felt like. Everton are back in some semblance, And then we go and win that game on Saturday. And I can't believe it. And since then, I've just been poring over all Everton content, anything, whether it's Toffee TV, of course, top of the tree, whether it's news reports, whether it's, AI-generated pictures of David Moyes slapping seagulls and foxes and eagles and made by some Russian bot farm. I'm like, yes, pump it into me veins, because it feels so good. And I don't want to get into the whole conversation that we've had loads about, when you should celebrate and all of that nonsense. But because we've been so starved of any kind of positivity and joy, in the last, 6 weeks, we've got new owners have kind of, settled in. We've got a new manager. It feels like we've got a new team. Because the players that were completely underperforming under the last manager have come out the shell and have started doing things that we suspected they might be capable of. You've got players like Njai, we liked anyway, who's making more of an impact on games. Obviously, he's injured at the moment. And then you got people like Brien coming into the squad and looking like he belongs in the team. And it just feels like now, for the first time, I'm looking forwards with my chin up and my shoulders back, and I'm thinking, what can we do this season? Where can we finish? And that feels, whether we finish in the position that we're in right now or not, hope and optimism is what football is built on, and it feels absolutely amazing.
What a way to start. I mean, Dave,
I can't really add to.
And were you allowed to celebrate? Because apparently, the celebration police are everywhere now. Unless, of course, you wear red, then you can do whatever you want because it's the greatest in the world, whatever happens.
Absolutely. No, I did celebrate, absolutely. What a week. I can't really add to anything more than Sam has sort of said so beautifully and majestically and passionately. I just found myself Thursday, Friday, just watching the Tarkowski goal again and again and again from every different angle. And then I watched it again. I felt quite emotional, to be honest with you. It was, I don't know, there was, I'd be lying if I said that there weren't tears in my eyes at some points in this last week, watching some of those scenes back. But yeah, and obviously on Saturday, having had an incredible evening at Goodison on Wednesday, and then seeing Saturday, and I thought we looked tired, and I thought we looked leggy, and I thought that we were going to struggle to get anything out of Crystal Palace away. And certainly, as I say, the opening, half an hour or something would have suggested that, and mistakes were made, etc., etc. And I thought, much like Sam had said, I thought if we can get away from here with a draw after the week that we've had, that will be an incredible result, a big result to come away with the point from Selhurst Park. But it was going to be tough. And then, as I say, to come away having won it with all three was just, that's a huge result. I kept thinking about that afterwards, just thinking whenever we look back in, weeks and months to come, wherever we end up, as Sam says, we don't know. It might be where we are now. It might be higher. Who knows? But that's going to go down as a huge result Saturday. One of those really, really important ones, I think, for a lot of reasons. And it's it's a much nicer feeling doing this on a Monday than it has been for a long, long time. Long may that continue.
Absolutely. Can I, before we do get on to Palace, let's finish the derby bit, right? We should go on about the derby, but have you two, because obviously me and Ped have discussed this, but have you two been surprised at, like, the fallout of Everton celebrating that goal? Because I think a lot of, like, the moaning about it will come from people who don't go the game, people who live elsewhere, people who don't understand it. But when you step back from it and you break it down into the bits of, you're playing against the team who's the best in the league at the moment. You're playing the last ever Merseyside derby at Goodison Park. You're trying to get points yourself to get away from any danger. You've got an injury crisis.
Yeah.
And you score. Should have had a penalty at 1-1. And you go and score an absolute worldie with virtually the last kick of the game from a centre-back at the Gladys Street end. I mean, in the last ever night game.
If it was a film, you wouldn't believe it, would you?
Exactly. So when you put all that and mix it all in, no wonder everyone went off their heads. And as if the boot was on the other foot, they wouldn't have gone on forever and ever and ever about it. Them scoring and equalise it with the last kick of the game to maybe, whatever, stop us doing something. So were you a bit surprised, or is it just part of the course from the celebration, please?
I mean, just you describing the context of it there made me want to celebrate again, because it is. Context is everything, isn't it, in football? Context is what comes before an event and what gives it the gravitas or lack of gravitas that it deserves or doesn't. And all the stuff that had happened and the fact that we have been so starved of any joy, like just any minor bits of joy recently for the last 4 or 5 years. The joy we've had have been like escapes, like the Crystal Palace 3-2 game, the Bournemouth game when Corey scored. That wasn't joy, that was relief. And we celebrated those goals, but that was a very different feeling. This was something else. This was a game, not as well as everything else that you've listed, Baz. It was a game where I think we deserved to win.
Yeah,
we deserved, we deserved at least a draw, and you could argue we deserved to win. And when they gone 2-1 up, I was just absolutely gutted. I was like, here we go again. We've really knocked on the door. But then again, context. I was just thinking, well, we played really well against the top team in the league, the top team in the European League. And once it goes into the 98th minute, you think it's over. And then it's the manner of the goal. He leathered it. It was still going up when it hit the back of the net. The limbs, the celebration, and I what was really interesting is the fact that it was Liverpool fans who were kind of saying, oh, it's embarrassing celebrating like that. It's like, well, how can you judge what makes other people happy? Because, if you might own 7 houses, are you going to laugh at someone else for being happy because they've cobbled together enough money to buy the first flat or whatever? Because that's important to them. It's important to them. So don't be, don't be so pompous to think that other people can't be happy. Stop being joy hoovers. Football's lacking in joy. When you get those moments, you really need to, grab them. The fact that Match of the Day on Saturday put us on first when we hadn't even played. It wasn't even the game that we played. It was the game from Wednesday. With that amazing montage that proved that they understood. They understood.
It's like the rest of the world have rejoiced in it, and they obviously think there's an issue with it. It's like the rest of the world has took it for what, like, because I was saying this to Baz last week. It was like, that's for the world, for outside, that's it now. That's like Goodison covered is in for like everybody else. That's our last big game. Man United, I know we've got United, Arsenal and City, and Arsenal will only be a big game if Arsenal have got something still to fight for for the Premier League. But in terms of us, the Southampton game is for us, as in that's our big game because that's our last one. But for everybody else, that game was the defining moment of Goodison Park. And for it to end like that, and this is what they don't get. And I don't understand, as proper football fans, if there are any amongst them, how they don't understand the context, like you were saying there. The moment was like out of a film. If we were to win it, it would almost be too far. But to do that in the last minute and to salvage the pride that we deserved and to give Goodison that moment and to, like as you said, the match of the day on Saturday night, starting the show with a little thing, a little thing of it, that being on Football Focus earlier on that day. Round the world, people are talking about it. It's like, it gave Goodison the send-off it deserves. And the mad thing is you would look at that as like a compliment. You only got a draw and we're still top of the league and we've gone 7 points clear. But it's like there has to be some other context. This has got nothing to do with us. This doesn't involve us, so we shouldn't. Why should we get after sort of participate in this? And that is them all over trying to make everything about them. That's what they always do. It's like, I seen someone yesterday going to me on something about on a post I'd put up saying we're now 30 points clear of you, and it's like, this is not about you. Why do you always make it about you? This is about us. We are a club that basically are pretty much safe in February after we've spent no money, after we've sold players, after we've been on our arse, after this, that and the other. And we are just happy. We are just happy with what we've got. You go ahead and do what you're doing. You're about to win the league. Good luck to you, whatever. You know what I mean? Good luck to you. But they always have to make it about them and try and take everybody's joy away from them. And that to me is just like, the rest of the world gets it. The rest of the football world gets it. They see it for what it is. And yet they can't. And that's the greatest joy I'll take from that.
I just think if they would have scored, forget about stopping Everton. I mean, that heightens it. Yeah. Right? But if we'd have been 2-1 up at Anfield in a derby game and they scored in the 98th minute with a Van Dijk volley from there and stopped us winning, as if they would have just gone terrible that way, they'd have been like lunatics. He would have gone on about it. It'd have been probably the greatest volley ever by a centre-back, because everything he does points. He's the greatest of all, and he's not even in the top 3 best centre backs you've ever played.
He hasn't even got the greatest knee cartilage.
No, he hasn't. So that's true. But I mean,
but the thing.
Yeah,
and I was going to say, the thing about that is that, you know, you're comparing, as you say, you know, whatever, a 98th minute equaliser from Van Dijk as opposed to, you know, Tarkowski, but it was more than that, you know, and you'll obviously testify for having been there, but obviously just a sense of occasion and the emotions all around there that every single Evertonian must have felt in that stadium means that reaction to what happened at that moment in time was going to be exaggerated or heightened far more so than, do you know what I mean, than the equivalent that you're saying there, because it wasn't just about equalizing against Liverpool or anybody in the 98th minute. It was because of what that meant, what that evening meant, and the, as you say, the emotions and the passions with it, and that's why it just went nuts as far as I can see from afar, and I'm sure that's what it was like when you were there.
They were singing as the cross went in. We won the last derby at Goodison Park. As Mikalenko crossed the ball, that's what he was singing. Therefore, to volley a ball in a millisecond after that, to stop them doing that, shut them up. If Liverpool, said this before, if Liverpool come to Goodison, sung about their own team, had banners about their own team.
Did he sing?
And, no, they didn't, that's what I mean. And won it or whatever, you just go, sound. They come to Goodison and they tell us for 50 weeks of the year that we aren't important to them. It's Man United, and then they come and bring birthday banners and blow up balloons and sing about us for the whole game, not their own team. And then sing about, you know, we won the league at Goodison Park, and which they haven't again. And we won the last derby at Goodison Park as a cross goes in. There's a beautiful poetry about Tarkowski volleying that in to shut them up with the last kick of the game. So,
and when you think of Goodison as well, when you think of Goodison and the great moments, what I always think about is absolute pandemonium at the street end with a late goal. That's kind of the go-to memory, and it's a generic memory of all the goals mixed together. And we might not get another late goal at the street end. And as Ped quite rightly said, the other games, we've got big teams coming to Goodison, but they're not going to be big games, probably, unless we're pushing for Europe. And let's not rule that out at this point. But let's not, you know, let's stay sensible. But that moment,
can we still win the league? We can't we, at the
I
moment?
think mathematically,
we win every game. We could win the league. But carry on, Sam, sorry.
But it's that, you know, the celebration. And also it was a goal that was, I know it went to VAR, but it was a goal that felt like it didn't need to go to VAR because when someone leathers it in from that far away, it feels like it's just going to be a goal. Obviously, then we had 3 or 4 minutes of agony waiting for it. But it was just chaos, wasn't it? It was just chaos. And that's the Goodison memory that I'll take to my grave. Not that particular goal, but chaos at the street end. And that might be the last chance we do that this season.
No, you're
But that might be the last chance we ever do it ever, isn't it? That's that's something they don't quite understand. It's a sense of occasion. Again, this is not about you. This is about us. Why can't you understand that? This is about, again, it's like, you know, they come with the balloons and the banners and it's like, yeah, we are well aware that we have not won a trophy for 30 years, but guess what? We've processed it and we've dealt with it.
And we're still here.
And we go every game. It's not, again, it's not this thing of like what you've done or what we've done. This is about us. And that one moment for me just illustrated that brilliantly of like, we are still here. We still go. We still love our club. We still, every moment we is life and death for us in many ways. The way we think about it sometimes. It's not about you. It's about us. So get off your high horses and honestly, just
world doesn't evolve around.
Exactly. It doesn't. It doesn't.
Anyway, that was a good point. And we said at the start of last week, when we were talking on one of our live shows, if we could end the week with 4 points,
oh God,
at least, then we'd be on that 30, and that'd be incredible, really. And obviously you're hoping for 6, but after the derby on Wednesday night, and Jai's gone off after 20 minutes, you could tell he was done. And obviously Decore has caused uproar and was banned for the game, even though it was Curtis Jones. Then going to Crystal Palace, I was like what you both said, lads. It was a case of, if we get a point, that's a brilliant result. You can win it, but you're looking going, we're depleted, and then they've got all their players back, and it's like, if we can get out something. But even if we lose, we've sort of put ourselves in a buffer zone kind of thing. So for me, and I said this on my match reaction after it, it's the most impressive win we've had under David Moyes. We won at Brighton and they're a good side. We beat Spurs at home. We got a draw with Liverpool. We battered Leicester. But Saturday, to me, was by far the best result we've had under David Moyes.
I agree.
And absolutely he's made a mockery of the last fella with the players that have come on and done the business. And you know what, to go there, and you're right, Dave, the opening half an hour was littered with mistakes. The defence was a little bit all over the place.
Especially Branthwaite and Tarkowski at the back, and that's what worried me. And they looked like Wednesday had taken a lot out of them.
Yeah,
those two in particular. And I'm not trying to sort of single them out in terms of being any better or worse than anybody else, but they looked to me like they were knackered.
What a response, though. I mean, what a response when we sort of rolled out that opening half an hour. And I think, you know what I think? It's something as simple as the one where Alcaraz pulled it down and dropped the shoulder and hit a shot. And he was like 30 yards out, and it was a comfortable save.
It was lovely.
But it sort of just went, come on, let's... And after that, Everton sort of got themselves into the game. I mean, Ped, watching it, that did feel like a moment, that sort of... And then Beto started knocking people about, and we sort of like... It was almost as if we went... We've got through that 25 minutes and we're not behind. Yeah. Like, let's sort of... Let's go a little bit.
It was, and as Dave said there, like, players are kicking and heading the ball away from one of our own players or the goalie, and Pickford to make a couple of saves, and the most controversial, non-controversial VAR decision of all time, by the way. Yeah, like the fella's looking at it. When did literally we stop trusting the referees or assistant referees for things like
for a ball
going out? Like, it went out. He's seen it. Why are you still talking about it? Like, what? I know Sky have got to make a bit of a thing about it because he didn't have much to talk about. But oh my God, it went out, lads. Get over it.
For as long
but they didn't have a single. Though they didn't have a single angle though. They kept going to it. They didn't have a single angle that in any way supported it, or you know, you had to go down to human judgment again.
It's not, but when has that ever been a thing?
But the thing about
when you take a corner on the lines and put his flag up, you go, oh, it's gone out. You don't go, oh, get the lines out.
I was going to say, by not having a single angle, it's proved that to them meant it was more controversial. It's like, no, there's a fella with eyes. We've all played football. We all know when the ball goes out. Our defenders were all like that. It'd gone miles out. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, we'd rode that, and then, the first sort of mistake they make, and we're on it. And Charlie Alcaraz, lovely run, puts the ball in for Beto. Beto does what he does, and we're 1-0 up, and you think, wow, that, the confidence that they're showing now, and it's just a case of, where we'll go from this.
First goal on the counter attack all season.
Yeah, but it was that. But you're watching it with confidence, and you're thinking, they don't look okay. They've made mistakes, but the worst thing about that, almost in the first half, was looking at two teams going, "Yous have got your full complement." And we if we had ours, we'd absolutely batter you tonight. Just the way it feels.
Yeah, that's
and
how
it was like that's how it feels at the moment. We would batter you tonight if we had our full complement. And that's what made, obviously, in the end, it's so much better. But going 1-0 up, and then, with that little bit of swagger of just that goal, going, everything's just going brilliantly. So it was fantastic.
I mean, Sam,
how many counter attacks? How many counter attacks have we had in the past where the ball's not been the right ball, or it's been played too late, or it's overhit? I mean, I think about the Man City game on Boxing Day when, right near the end, we had, was it 4-2 or something? And I couldn't believe it. And I remember I made some joke at the time saying, like, if Decore should have passed it to Harrison, or Harrison should have passed it to Decore, so he could have missed instead, because it would never have gone in.
No.
Whereas Alcaraz gets it, and it's interesting, Alcaraz, because he's joined this team, and he only knows Moyes. He doesn't know the Daishira, and he's joined, and he looks like a Moyes sort of player, doesn't he? Yeah. He's got that engine on him. He's got that desire. Within about 2 minutes of being here, the busies are holding him back. And I'm like, I love this guy. He's kicking off on everyone. But that ball to Beto was delicious, perfectly timed, perfectly weighted. And then Beto gets it, and you just think, he's not going to miss, is he? He's like, Beto's like, all of a sudden, he's like, when they reckon flies, it's out to it, a fly in it because they see in slow motion. Beto's like, the time just slows down when he's in front of goal, and he just picks the right little dink. It was just great.
Isn't it mad the way, if you actually play to a player's strengths, all of a sudden they can do things, isn't it? Instead of going, you play to our strengths. No, not really how football works, mate. It's probably why you should be managing the Sunday League team. Anyway, it was a great ball by Alcaraz and a great finish. But then, I mean, obviously at half-time, they bring Eze on and Wharton. And it's like, right, they got, there's another two problems you have to solve. And Dave, I suppose, 90 seconds after the restart, it's 1-1, but it was a goal of our own doing. Tarkowski jumping into, was it Branthwaite who's trying to
No, it was into Jacob Brien, and then the ball bounces, and then Branthwaite sort of tries to header it, but completely misses that as well.
The frustration of just giving such. I know they give a cheap goal away, but for us, because like Ped just said, we had 9 players missing, I think, on Saturday. And you're 1-0 up, and then it's like, can we grind it out? To give that goal away was another big test for us, wasn't it?
It was, but I think what's the significance here, as opposed to the old regime, is the fact that the heads didn't go down, and because and that to support what you said before in terms of under Moyes, this being the most impressive and most significant of results, and I'd agree with you, because of it coming in the week that was, and the depleted squad and being away from home and all these different things, and yeah, just the fact that the heads didn't go down and they kept going, and there's a belief there, and that's what's been so missing in the past, is that heads go down, you just think that nobody wants it, and that's not the case anymore. I mean, one positive of obviously Decore's suspension is the fact that it obviously handed a start to Alcaraz. Who he looks class. He really does. He looks a class player in what little we've seen of him so far. And he's got a bit about him as well. He's quite happy to get into the mix with people. But yeah, he looks a class act. And as you say, that ball to Beto and his understanding with Beto in such a short period of time is really, really impressive. I mean, Beto for me is very simplistic. in terms of what he is as a striker. I mean, I think he's got pretty dreadful feet all round, in terms of control and stuff like that. But if you play it to him in the right place, he's effective, as he's proven. But you have to play it a particular way to him, and that's what's happened this week. And he's found the net.
I mean, Alcaraz is an interesting one, isn't it? Because obviously, Moyes wouldn't have started him, as Dave just said, but. Come in and give us something different, hasn't he? And he's obviously South American. He worked the socks off, don't he? We know that, just like in their nature, the Argentinian. But apart, he did sort of tire after about the hour mark on Saturday. But having that player who is comfortable on the ball, has got a shot on him, and is a bit unpredictable, it gives us an extra dimension.
Well, it's sliding doors, isn't it? The same as what we just said about Beto. It's sliding doors moments. It's players getting an opportunity that they mightn't have already. We've seen it with Jacob Brien, the manager bringing him into the team. And we've seen Beto now get an opportunity, and he's taking it, and Alcaraz as well. And that's all you can ask for, isn't it? It's all you can ask for as players taking a chance, taking an opportunity. On Saturday, two players who've been fighting out for one position end up on one side of the pitch, and who's on the other side of the pitch, in the wingers. So it's it's players fighting to get in the team is massively important, and it's not like we're going to get many back either.
No.
Obviously Saturday and Wednesday game as well. We'll get the Corey back, but
that'll be it. Only.
The manager managed it brilliantly, bringing Ashley Young on as well. Just at 1-1 and. He trusts his experience, and Tim Erabunum done well when he came on, and you don't always have to make massive subs, just make the right subs at the right times, and that's where Moyes has got all the experience. But Alcaraz, I mean, an assist and a goal on his first start, and you said, this is a lad who's played for a couple of really big clubs, Juventus and Flamengo. They're big clubs. There's pressure on those teams. He knows what pressure is. He's still only, 22? He's fighting for a contract with a Premier League team that he'll look at and go, he'll have looked at it already. And again, you go back to Wednesday and you think, imagine experiencing that. One of your first, one of your first moments playing for Everton. You're playing against Liverpool, and this happens, and you see the fallout from that, and then. A few days late, and you're part of a win and run, and the manager's put you in there. It must think, you wasn't part of the dice here. It doesn't know anything about that. All he's seen so far is, dare I say, good times. He's seen, and he looks a good player. Don't get many. We haven't had many of them to shout about. We always seem to get players who are like, take a little bit of time to settle. For a fella to come in and first start, get a goal and assist, and look pretty comfortable, bar maybe his fitness levels being massively, but then he still scored with 10 minutes to go.
He would have scored on his debut, but for a post, wouldn't he? So, I mean, Sam, obviously 1-1 and the game delicately poised. And Everton defended really well. But they had, don't get me wrong, they did have some opportunities, but not loads. And yet to see us pushing forward to try and win the game. I mean, let's be honest, we've grown out of that in the last couple of years, haven't we? That game at the weekend would have been grind out a draw or see if you can get a corner. But we were still trying to, get forward. Beto was brilliant, knocked them about. They're two good centre-backs. He was up, three, if you include Richards, and he gave them a hard time all day. Thought his touch was much better. He was given, they were worried about him. But then to see us pushing forward in the way we did, and then we get the goal, which I think would have been a penalty anyway, because Chilwell's arm's nowhere near his side. So it hit his arm, stopped the goal. So I think if they'd gone to VAR, there'd been a penalty. But how cool was Alcaraz there? Just guided it into the corner.
He took it well, didn't he? And you watch that back, and he did. He took it really well. He could have got that horribly wrong, but that's what. That to me is just a little sign of class that we're sort of, we can see from him already. Obviously, there was a free kick as well that looked class, and he's just got something about him. I know he's a different player to Tim Cahill, but he's just got a bit of that about him as well. I think, just sort of, he's got a bit of an edge, which I like, as well as having, a natural talent. But I like his edge about him. I think that just sort of gives him something a little bit different. And no, it's exciting. Really, really exciting.
Well, it's early days with Alcaraz, but he feels like in the way that I look at Njai, where to go, like, for far too long, we've signed players and you think, well, they've just come to us for a payday or they've come to us because they're in a situation where they can't get a game elsewhere. Whereas Alcaraz and Njai, I look at them and I go, how come no one else grabbed these?
Yeah.
These have got something about them. And, you know, it's early days with Alcaraz, but you can't fault what he's done so far. And just his attitude and the work rate and that finish. And a late goal. Because I would have snapped your hand off with 1-1. I really would have.
Yeah,
and
me too.
I think it just speaks to the whole club on the pitch and hopefully off the pitch, but certainly in terms of like in the stands, like as a fan base. David Moyes has just come in and just grabbed us with both hands and just give us a shake. And we're looking upwards now, and we're feeling confident, and that's why, from performances, but also like stuff like when it is 1-1 and you think, well, 1-0 is a good result. But why don't we try and go and nick it? Why don't we get forward and keep pushing? Because, better was a threat. Players are getting forward and getting the ball into the right areas. And I think Ashley Young tried to claim an assist, didn't he, from Alcaraz's goal? But I think that's one for the dubious assists panel, if that exists. But yeah, it was great.
I mean, I was more nervous at 2-1 than I was at 1-1, which is mad. When you can lose the game, and the worst that could happen would be they'd get a draw. Because you've got that, I could see that 30-point marker as like we're in touching distance here. But I mean, Sam's right, isn't he? They've come in, and Moyes, he's come in and he's been able to sort of grab everyone back together and sort of shake the fan base, like Sam said, shake the club. And results obviously help Sam, don't they? But it is a weird sort of comforting thing that he's been able to do it so quickly. Of course, results make all the difference. That's all that matters at the end
and he's
of the
not going to
day.
win every week,
No.
and that's the thing. We're still gonna have some defeats, but I don't know. I think the thing as well with Moyes is that it now feels almost completely right that he should be the man to take us into the new ground. Don't you think?
Yeah.
And it might not have been, granted, we're talking here today off the back of a fantastic set of results, and they may not have been there. They could have been a significant increase or improvement on Dyche's recent form, but they might not have been quite as stellar as we've seen. But yeah, there just seems to be something. They just seems to be the right fit, doesn't it?
It feels like we're back with our childhood sweetheart, isn't it?
Yeah, it does.
For whatever reason, we went through clear and they went to a different university or whatever, and then 20 years later, and you go, what have we been doing all this time for both of us as well? And I think Moyes is the results, the performances have all been fantastic, and I couldn't be happier. But I think you can sum up what he's done with the club with that. Was it between the Liverpool and the Palace game, the press conference, when someone said, do you need to bring the players back down to earth? And he went, no, because people have been bringing Everton back down to earth for far too long. I'm here to bring us up. And I thought that is a moment that has made me so happy, because nobody in the media has got Everton's back. Nobody's had our back over the last few years. Phil McNulty aside, obviously Toffee TV aside. I think for him to have the manager actually speaking us up, because he's the focal point, he's the point that all the PR comes through. So for him to talk us up and have some standards and try and improve the standards and say, we're Everton, we're a big club, we should be pushing up the league, we should be pushing for Europe, we should be trying to win the league. Of course, that's miles off, but he's saying the right words, and as a fan, that is just it's so important, and I think that's the reason why, if he's getting the fans on side like that, imagine what he's doing to the players, and that's what we're seeing on the pitch. Yeah,
you said it there. If the manager's not pushing you forward and he hasn't got your back, then what chance have you got? What chance have you got? Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, Moyes is. We've spoke about Moyes for ages. We would have got rid of Dyche last summer. We both said that and brought Moyes in because we just knew he was a better manager. But I don't know how many times we can say it. He is like having a former player back, but he's a former manager. He clearly loves Everton Football Club. We are clearly the biggest sort of moment of his career in football player or manager. I know he won something at West Ham, and that's fair enough, but we are the biggest thing the biggest association, and there's a clear love there, and he's just gone in with both hands and gone, I can pull this up, I can take this forward. And you know what, the people who I think deserve a lot of credit in this is the freaking group, because they've done this with Roma and they've done this with Everton, and Roma's results are equally as good as Everton's.
They won again yesterday,
they won again Sunday with Ranieri, and last week they drew 1-1 in the first leg of the playoff, even when they went down to 10 men in Europe. And they've clearly understood that bringing in two very experienced managers, but who've got a love for the clubs that they're going back to, and have an identity with them and identify with those people is a huge, and that's really interesting, I find, for like cold, calculated Americans. Do you know what I mean? Like, as people would see them, they've recognised above all else that you do need that bond with your fan base. It's not just about going, well, we'll bring this fella in, he's really good. And I know they'd made a bit of a mess this season with Roma, but I just think when you look at it's really interesting. It's worked at Roma, it's worked with Everton. Obviously, don't think the Roma thing's as long term, but there's a slightly different thing there. Ranieri's going to try and help pick the next manager and is going to take a step upstairs. But I do think it's worked out so well for both clubs, and I think they deserve all the praise they get for making that decision, because they didn't have to sack Sean Dyche. Didn't have to do that, and it was looking like they weren't going to, but they did, and they brought in certainly the right man, and as you've just said there, Dave, the right man to take us into the new stadium. Because I look what's happening at Manchester United, and even though they've gone out and got the best young manager around, blah, 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 I just don't feel like they've got any foundation to work from. So he's trying to fix the problems of now, and then it hasn't got much room to take them forward because of PSR and stuff. And it just feels like a big mess. Whereas if they'd actually just listened to like Ralph Rangnick, who's basically told them this 2 years ago, that the club was a mess and needed sorting out, they could have stopped all this. But I think with Everton bringing in Moyes and what they've done at Roma, that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to get those foundations in by people who absolutely understand the game at the level they're working in.
Agree. Totally agree.
Definitely.
There you go.
No, well, it's good. I mean, obviously, Man United on Saturday represents a great offer. I watched them yesterday, and in the end, they were unlucky not to get a point. But they're just a team of individuals, and if you get at them, the points are there. And I know,
bring it on.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I mean, like you just said, and it's not the name, no. We're not playing the name on Saturday. We're playing the team. Just look at the team and go, we're better than these at the moment. We are.
But also, that's a fixture that will also have that extra spice for Moyes as well. Obviously, because of his career, it always will do. If he can, he brings them to Goodison and whatever, and he wants to win, doesn't he? Because it didn't work out from there.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at them. They've got Garnacho, who's quick, so you got to watch him. And Bruno Fernandes is really good. Don't get me wrong, in midfield, but everywhere else they can be got at. And so Everton, I mean, we're above them, aren't we? So Everton should be Everton really this Saturday with the crowd and all that. We've got a week to lick our wounds, get the core back as well. So we've got another squad slightly stronger than it was at the weekend. There's no reason why we can't go out in that game and get at them and beat them. Really? Is there?
No, I don't. I'm really looking forward to this game. I think it's a brilliant opportunity. Brilliant opportunity, and as I said, they're a bit of a mess at the moment, and yes, they've got good players, but what an opportunity for Everton to really hammer home, because I mean, I don't know what you, but 30 points, I'm feeling. I honestly feel like we can get another 4 wins this season easily, and get us over 40 points. And I think this should be one of those games. And then for me, it's you're looking forward, aren't you? We're all looking forward. The amount of messages that are coming in my inbox and Toffee TV's inbox, people, do you know you can get a couple of tickets? Do you know this and that? And I basically want to tell them all to shut up and behave themselves, because like there's not going to be much chance Although I do believe that anyone who got off early in the park end on Saturday should have their season tickets taken off them for the rest of the season. But that's my own personal opinion. That's my own personal opinion. But it's just everyone wants to be at the ground now. Everyone wants to see the final days of Goodison, don't they? And as I said, I hope everyone gets that opportunity. But you know, we are feeling like we can just move forward now and get what we need.
It's great to feel excited about a match as well, isn't it? You know, and I was excited about the Crystal Palace game. Obviously, Man U's a big game anyway, whatever position you're in. But it's great to feel excited. And as much as, you know, you never stop loving your club, you forget, because we've had so long with nothing to cheer, you forget how much happiness and joy it gives you when things are going well. It's like, honestly, it's like my whole life's like, I feel like my whole life's changed the last 6 weeks. I know, and that might be sad, and I didn't realise how. I mean, I don't think I was miserable, but like I'm so much happier now, and everything's just it's just wonderful. So long may it continue, and I can't wait to see what
transplant next, Sam. Come on,
oh mate, I'm getting the teeth done. I'm going to get them fake pecs put in. It's all happening. This is all down to David Moyes. Thank you, David, for everything you've done.
Hair today, teeth tomorrow.
Yeah, and then Brazilian ass on Wednesday.
Oh, aye.
Right, Ped. You were lucky enough to be at the test event last night at the Everton new stadium. Oh, someone give you the ticket. No, he got drawn up the ballot. So, come on, tell us what it was like. We've just gone on about Goodison Park and the memories and Sam and his limbs in the street end and all of that. Can we recreate that at the new stadium? You were in there last night. What was it like?
Yeah, unbelievable experience to be there. Obviously, first ever game at the new stadium. Buy a coat. That's my first thing I'd say. Buy a coat. Absolutely freezing. I mean, I know it's freezing everywhere. I get that. It's freezing everywhere, but it is cold down there. It will test a few people. I think Toffee TV need to maybe bring a line out of hats, fleeces, gloves, and blankets. Some nice tartan blankets I'd go for as well. Because, yeah, it gets a little bit cold down there. But, no, good experience. Place is absolutely massive. As soon as you're into the fan plaza and you're beyond that wall, and you look up and just see this unbelievable, just huge stadium right in front of you, and get inside, and it's, you know, my turnstile last night, which is going to be my turnstile in the future. Go up a couple of escalators. You're on the upper tier, loads of places to eat, and obviously you've got the window looking over to the city. Obviously last night the you couldn't walk all the way around the stadium, so obviously we were sort of stuck in one area, and it'll be interesting to see what happens when you can walk around and you've got that flow. But I think last night just loads of people just like looking around with their mouths open, and it stopped the flow. You'll see it on the video I made. People are sort of like just stopped in the tracks, not really sure where they're going or what they should be doing. So yeah, it's gonna be dead interesting. Obviously, we'll wait and see on. You know, there was a menu last night, test menu. I'm hoping that there be slightly, I don't know, more meals sort of involved rather than just snacks. Because I'd like the idea of going in and having something like to eat instead of going to like McDonald's or something. But yeah, and then you walk out and there's and I don't know, the best way to describe it is like if you've ever been to like, I don't know, Champions League stadium or the Euros, or even if you've been the World Cup, and you just see everything is brand new, everything is new. There's that grey concrete everywhere. But yeah, and it was just from my perspective, and obviously we went and had a little look on our seats as well, which will be our seats. It just looks brilliant. It's unbelievably steep, that south stand. If you're sitting at the top, you won't need to do a leg day in the gym. Yeah, I mean, obviously it needs a bit of branding, bit of Everton branding put on it, and it needs obviously everyone to be there. You know, it's not going to feel like our home until we all get in there and we're all together and we're singing songs and stuff. It's going to take, a little bit of time, but create a few memories. But no, just in awe of the place, and I can't wait to get down there and when it's open, have a good walk around and properly investigate the whole place and the fan zone and everything. There's so much scope for the things they could do down there. Yeah, it's going to be absolutely amazing. But you know, I could tell sort of, you know, you I mean, it's not hard to notice the differences between that and Goodison, but obviously all the things you take for granted at Goodison obviously weren't there, and that's hard to describe unless you're in there. Just that feeling of all those little things. So yeah, unbelievable experience. Anyone who gets an opportunity to do it, you know, the second one, you know, make sure you get down there. It'll be again be better because it'll be fuller, and then hopefully when the third one comes, whenever that is, we all get an opportunity to go and create a full house and a big atmosphere. So yeah, absolutely brilliant experience, and looking forward to the next occasion I can be there.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm sure we all can't wait to get in that stadium and experience it for ourselves. Right, let us know what you think in the comments section below. Are you allowed to celebrate? Let us know. Are you looking forward to Everton's new stadium? And as Sam said, can Everton actually win the league this season? Let us know. Cheers, boys. We'll see you all later. Bye, 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 bye.